So now moving to page 5 of your book. So we were discussing in earlier pages the provisions of the Belgian model, and we have discussed that same number of leaders will be there in the central government. Then we have seen that the powers will be given to the state government, and Brussels will be having a separate government. Then apart from the central and the state government, student, there is a third kind of government, that is community government. So again, what is a community government? It is elected by the people belonging to one language community, Dutch, French and German speaking, and no matter where they live. So this government has a power regarding cultural, educational and language related issues. So this is the Belgian model, and this helped to avoid tension between the communities. And then Brussels was also chosen as the headquarter of the European Union. So what we learned, students, from these two stories of Belgium and Sri Lanka, that both are democracies, yet they dealt with the question of power sharing differently. So Belgium is also democracy and Sri Lanka is also democracy, and you see how they handle their diversity in the two cases with very different approach. The Belgian leaders, they adopted very mature approach, and on the other hand, Sinhala leaders, they adopted very arrogant approach towards their minority. And in Belgium, the leaders have realized that the unity of the country is possible only by respecting the feelings and interests of different communities and regions. And when they realized this thing, then they made such arrangements which were mutually acceptable for power sharing. But Sri Lanka shows us a very different example. It shows us that if a majority community wants to force its dominance over others and refuses to share power, it can lead to disunity in the country. But on the other hand, if we adopt more mature approach, then peace will also prevail in the country. This the Belgian leaders have shown us. Now moving to page 6 of your book, students, here we have to discuss that why power sharing is desirable. So the two sets of reasons can be given in favor of power sharing. Here the question can be asked, why power sharing is desirable. Direct question can be asked. It is given in the form of question only in your NCERT book, 3 marks question. If only prudential reasons are asked, and if both the reasons are asked, then it is a 5 marks question. So, or it can be asked, what is the need of power sharing? So then also the same concept will be applicable, students. So students, one is prudential reasons. Now what is the meaning of prudential here? Prudential means based on wisdom, judgment, or on careful calculation of gains and losses. Students, prudential reasons stress that power sharing will bring out better outcomes. So what is the meaning of prudential here? Means based on wisdom, based on judgment, and on the careful calculation of gains and losses, that power sharing is good, and if we will do power sharing, it will bring better outcomes only. So this is a prudential reason, when we calculate everything and then we'll go for power sharing. So firstly, students, power sharing is good because it reduces the possibility of conflict between the social groups. Obviously, if everyone is given powers according to their share, then everyone will be happy and there will be no conflict. If all the powers will be given to majority, then minority will protest. But if power is shared, then there will be no conflict and tension. If social conflict will be there, it will lead to violence. Obviously, if conflict will be there, it will lead to violence, and violence will lead to political instability. But power sharing is a good way to ensure the stability of political order. But if we will share power, everybody will be happy and there will be no conflict in the country. And imposing the will of majority community over others may look like an attractive option in the short run. We can dominate the minority community in the short run, no problem, it can be suppressed easily, but in the long run the repercussions will be very dangerous. It might lead to the disunity of the nation in the long run. So if majority community will not look for the interests of the minority community, then it will create tensions in the country. And the tyranny of the majority, that is cruelty of the majority, is not just oppressive for the minority, it often brings ruin to the majority as well. That is, if majority will keep on suppressing the minority community, then it will lead to conflicts, disharmony, tensions, chaos in the society. So civil war like conditions will prevail in the country. So for majority also, this is also not good, because if disturbance will be there in the country, then there will be no growth in the country, no production will be there, trade will also be affected, investment will also be affected, because if the political scenario is not good, tension is there in the country, then the other countries, the MNCs, they will also not come and invest in the country. So trade will also be affected, unemployment will increase. So in this way, majority will also be affected if they will not look into the interest of the minority. So these were the prudential reasons, students. Now let's look at the moral reasons. So moral reasons emphasize power sharing as valuable. Now what is moral here? Moral is which you concerned with the principles of right and wrong behavior. Moral ethics, your ethics, which tell you that this is wrong, this is acceptable behavior, this is right and this is wrong. That judgment, your that judgment and moral, the lessons which we derive from our experience. So on the basis of that, on the basis of moral reasons, we emphasize that power sharing is valuable. If your country is democratic, then power sharing is essential. If we are saying we are living in a democratic country, then power sharing is must. If we are saying we are democratic and we have given the universal adult franchise to our citizens, we are holding elections in a free and fair manner, our judiciary is independent. So these all are features of the democratic government. So power sharing is also essential. We must do power sharing also, then only we can say we are a democratic nation. So if your country is democratic, then power sharing is essential. In democracy, I have told you, there is a universal adult franchise, free and fair elections are conducted, and judiciary is independent. So similarly, power sharing should also be there in democracy also. Then only we can say that our country is true democracy. So we can say power sharing is the very spirit of democracy. It is the moral responsibility of the democratic government to share power among its various social groups. So student, democracy is for the people, by the people and of the people. So in democracy, people take the center stage. We elect our representatives, then they take decisions on our behalf, keeping our needs in mind. And in democracy, people have a right to be consulted on how they are to be governed. So if people will be consulted, then only we can say that power is shared. So a legitimate government is one where citizens through participation acquire a share in the system. So legal, representative and accountable government is one, students, which is elected by the people, because this kind of government is responsive to the needs of the people. Now moving to page 8 here, students, now we have to discuss the forms of power sharing, or how power sharing is practiced, or various forms in which power sharing is practiced. So this is again a direct question, 5 marks question, very important question. So students, in modern democracies, power sharing arrangements can take many forms. Now let us look at some of the most common arrangements that we have or we will come across. So first, power is shared among different organs of the government, such as the legislature, executive and judiciary, and this is called horizontal distribution of power. Now why it is called horizontal distribution of power? Because it allows different organs of government placed at the same level to exercise different powers, and such a separation, students, ensure that none of the organs can exercise unlimited powers and each organ checks the other. So this results in a balance of power among various institutions. Like in a democracy, even though ministers and government officials, they exercise power, but they are responsible to the parliament. Similarly, although judges are appointed by the executive, but they can check the functioning of the executive, or laws made by the legislature. So this arrangement is called system of checks and balances. Second, the power can be shared among government at different levels. So this is also called vertical distribution of power, that is central level, state level and at the local level. In this we delegate the powers to the next level of the government. So this is you can say the decentralization of power to the local level, and the vertical division of power involves the higher and the lower level of the government, and under vertical power sharing the lower organ works under the higher organs. Now moving to third, power may also be shared among different social groups such as religious and linguistic groups. So the community government in Belgium is a good example of this arrangement, students. So power is shared between different ethnic groups, and this we have seen in the case of Belgium also. And in some countries there are constitutional legal arrangements whereby socially weaker sections and the women are represented in the legislature and the administration. Then we have reserved constituencies. This type of arrangement is meant to give space in the government and administration to the diverse social groups who otherwise feel alienated from the government. So in this way we can give minority community a fair share in the power. And next, now fourth one, we have to see that the power sharing among different political parties, pressure groups and movements. Students, in a democracy the citizens must have freedom to choose among various political parties. Multi-party system is there, so this freedom is there with the voters. So this lead to competition among different parties. So competition will be there, everybody wants to come to power. So such competition ensure that power does not remain in one hand, and in the long run student, power is shared among different political parties. All these different parties, they have different ideologies, and these parties represent different social groups. And sometimes this kind of sharing can be direct when two or more parties form an alliance to contest the election. If their alliance is elected, then they will form a coalition government and thus they will share a power. So in democracy we find interest groups such as those of traders, businessmen, industrialists, farmers and industrial workers, and these group students put pressure on government in order to get their demands accepted, and they also will have a share in governmental powers also, either through participation in government committees or to bring influence on the decision making process. So power sharing is important for political parties, for pressure groups and for interest groups. So this we have talked about the forms of power sharing, that is the power is shared among different organs. Then we have seen second case, power can be shared among the government at different levels. Then we have seen power may also be shared among different social groups, and then we have seen power sharing among different political parties, pressure groups and movements.